The Scott Ryfun Radio Show.
Let's make some things happen on this Friday morning. How are you? Good morning to you. Man, oh man, we have hit Friday. I am not unhappy about this. There's a thing we haven't been talking about, and we probably should have been, and we're probably going to some today, which is this murder case of this woman who murdered her 3 kids, and the weird support that she's getting from women. And this used to not be the thing. We'll get into it as the morning goes on. First, though, let's say good morning to everybody who say good morning to us. Good morning, Scott and group. Good morning. Happy Friday to you. Have you ever questioned the nature of your reality? Me? No. Good morning, 170. Got the auto pin working. Just got to fix some bugs. Any other suggestions from the South Georgia 40? His executive orders game is in testing right now, and it's fun. It is a neat little game. I'll have to say, I've got to spend some more time with it. I've got to send some feedback to Wesley, but it's going to be neat when it comes online. I promise you, because I was playing with it over the week. I haven't had a chance this week to do much of anything, much less play a game. But I expect to be able to have a little bit of free time this weekend. We'll see what happens. Greetings, programs, obviously. Our Dothan Bureau Chief. Good morning, Scott and chat from Mikey. Pace says, happy Friday. We get our thumbs up from Paul, which means we can get going now. 188, we've made it to Friday. Thank goodness. Good morning. Number 25. Howdy from 161 out here. Mr. Blocker, who is, you're number 90, right? In the South Georgia 40. Says, good morning, Scott and crew. Any idea why Continental Sports Network did not show GA last night? They have all former GA BHS streams up. I don't know. I could reach out to TJ. I have no, I don't, it's a thing that they do with it's really a thing that TJ does, I think, to just kind of keep active in between gigs. And TJ has a lot of good gigs, and it may just be that there are a couple of different things. One, I think the school system pays him to do it a little something. He goes and sells ads too, but I don't know. You'd have to ask TJ. I don't know. But again, TJ, I think, just does it to keep doing something. And sometimes he's doing something else. All right, let's check TJ's social media feed. And let's see if we can find any particular thing that TJ is doing right now. I mean, he could be in France or something for all we know. He does all kinds of good. He does really neat work. He has a fun gig. No, TJ hadn't posted on social media since June 24th, so never mind. I don't know. I don't know why they didn't show GA last night. But I was on the radio with GA, so, you got that going for you, which we finalized. We finalized that deal like yesterday afternoon, and separated it from the full-time job, which I turned down officially yesterday, just so you know. I mean, I can put all the cards out here now, although for you guys, I pretty much had all the cards already out. It all started literally the first Tuesday of the second week that I started working at the county. The iHeart folks called and said, we made a mistake. Literally said, we made a mistake. Actually said, we messed up. Sorry. The actual quote was, we messed up. And, apologized. Offered me a really interesting position, actually. Offered me the show back. Everything, when they let me go on June 24th, everything I wanted on June 25th. And then some. But since then, I've been building this stream. I'm going to monetize it when I'm able to legally. I'm going to go back on the radio. I'm going to, I've got plans in place. And to be honest with you, after I took the job at the county, there's not even any real financial pressure to make something happen. And then they turned around and offered me the exact same money I was making before, which, I just I didn't think it was right. I'm not going to say it was insulting, but I didn't think it was right. I'm not going to say it was insulting because there are people behind it who really wanted this to happen, but the company is what the company is. And, I even got to hear a little bit of the mechanics behind it, and it was literally, personnel moved to different places and freed up money. They didn't make money happen for this. And that means their budget, they didn't expand their budget any to make that happen. People moved out of one area, and thus money was still sitting there. And, expand your budget a little. You just, this year you've cut $150 million. Expand your budget a little bit. So anyway, that having been said, and look, going back would have been the easiest thing in the world for me to do. It's comfortable. I know it. But there were two things. One, the money was exactly the same. And when I put pen to paper, it's less than what I'll do keeping the job at the county and launching the radio show. Like from day one of launching the radio show, I'll be doing better than I was doing at iHeart. And then the other thing was just no guarantees. No guarantees, and I watched a guy in Savannah, when they got rid of all the programming guys in Savannah, I watched them get rid of a guy that they had already downsized out of South Carolina, then rehired in Savannah. Then a year later, they downsized him out of that position. So I just didn't feel comfortable putting myself in that position. And, I enjoyed my radio job at iHeart. I enjoyed what I did. I hope to enjoy everything I'm doing now even more. But, we'll see how everything goes in the future. But anyway, but one thing that did happen yesterday, I did turn down the full-time job, but I did accept going part-time with them just to do the football games and only to do football games. It was after I accepted it that I found out they were not going to free any more money up or to fill out the booth, which is criminally insane. But really, once I had agreed, I probably should have unagreed on all of that. Because there will be that, G-Man and I did the game last night just because I wanted to make sure things went well for him. And I wanted to get warmed up a little too, to tell you the truth. And, it's, if we're not doing it together, it isn't happening. We're the only two people. They're not hiring anybody else. They're not spending money on anybody else. If I have an off night with Glenn and I go do the Brunswick game with G-Man just to help him out, I'm not going to get paid for that. So, it's a one-man booth, which is not good because, I pointed out, not only is it just kind of proper broadcast to have a play-by-play and a color guy there, but also behind the scenes, what you want is somebody who can still keep talking while somebody else can troubleshoot when there are technical issues. We don't have it. We're not going to have it. So this will probably be the only year I do this. I was kind of reclaiming my Friday nights anyway, but this will probably be my 1 year. Let's go back. Good morning. And by the way, for those of you who don't know, the score last night was Calvary Day beat Glenn 49-22. The sad part is that Glenn had a 22-7 lead late in the second quarter. And towards the end of the first half, Calvary Day got a touchdown, missed the extra point, so it was 22-13 at the half. And, it's not that there was a total collapse of Glenn. It's more that Calvary Day just there were a lot of near misses in the first half for Calvary Day, and they didn't miss in the second half. And they shut down Glenn's attack. The things Glenn did well against them in the first half, they could not do it all in the second half. And again, Glenn was supposed to lose. And it's a 2A school, Calvary Day, but they're number one in the state. So they were supposed to win. It was kind of a shocking first half that Glenn was up. But also, I'll tell you this, and I thought this was interesting because you got a 2A school versus what is it, 6A right now? Because they added the 7th A again. It amazed me how few two-way players Calvary Day had versus how many two-way players Glenn had. And on a night like last night where it's hot and sweltering, that's going to make a difference too, and it's going to wear your team down. The number of two-way players they had on the field last night, not surprising. I mean, it's kind of been that way for a long time, but the fact that Calvary Day didn't really see a lot of two-way players was kind of the shocking part to me. Anyway, let's go to some good mornings. Good morning, Rossman 912. Dwayne says good morning from 180. James, way early in that lineup of the South Georgia 40 at number 11. As to your query, someone once said this isn't happening. It only thinks it's happening. There you go. Morning from Brad. Bobby says good morning. Nice to hear you and G-Man last night. It was good. It was good to do it. It was fun. And, most of it went well. I think my brain kind of went on the fritz a little bit in the second half. But, there was one point we went to commercial and I kind of turned to G and I said, this is going really well. And of course, Glenn was winning at that point too, and that didn't hurt either. Karen says good morning. Aaron says good morning. Brad says good evening / morning from everyone in the 170 from 170 and the North Georgia Mountains. So it's good that North Georgia Mountains are saying hi to us. Good morning, folks. Happy Friday. 33 late again. Shame on you. Good morning from 187. Sad to see Glenn didn't show up in the second half. Yeah, again, I don't know if it's as much Glenn didn't show up in the second half as just Savannah or Calvary Day just put it together finally. Again, they're an outstanding team. And the fact that Glenn was up was a bit of a shock to me. Let's see. These women wearing pink just in favor of late term abortion. Oh, ouch. Is there really such a thing as free time? Guten Morgen, by the way. Yeah, probably not. Kenny Cruz, good morning, sir. You came up in conversation as I was making my way into the stadium last night. Very strange, but good to have the conversation. Meant to have all future streams showing up, coming not former. So they have. Okay, well, the thing is, they don't get contracted to do every game. In fact, I don't think they do Florida. I don't think they do Brunswick and Glenn. They get contracted to do certain games, and it may well be it may well be TJ was unavailable, and it may well be that they didn't want to do a Thursday game. Thursday's a little rough, and I was kind of surprised at the number of people that Calvary Day brought. And even though I say that, they didn't bring that many people because it's Thursday night. It's tough. Sorry, I'm late. Dog got tangled in barbed wire while on his show. Stop it. Just stop it. They tabled, I understand, the animal ordinance last night. I don't get that. I think they knuckled under a little pressure because a lot of activists were there. And what you will learn about the activists for animals is most of them seem to enter the arena with good hearts and an eye towards helping animals, and then suddenly they get provincial and territorial, kind of like dogs. They get provincial and territorial, and then they want their thing, and they kind of a mess. Thank you for the wave, by the way. Happy Friday. Christy says happy Friday. Brad, good evening. What didn't you already send us something? Ricky says good morning. There, I was wondering where Willie Shields 7875 was, our Holy Ghost trucker there, because we hadn't had you chime in the last several days. Is that a Tweaky reference there? I think it might be. 1911, the Mona Lisa was stolen by Louvre employees. It was returned 2 years later when the thieves discovered it was more difficult to pawn than they had originally anticipated. Yeah, you can't. It's hard to take the one thing. There's only one of it in the entire world, and it's well known for everybody in the world. And you go, hey, would you like to buy this? No, thank you. No, thank you. No, sorry. Good morning, TGIF. Yesterday was new guitar day and Schecter Diamond Series Hellraiser. Is that what you got? Oh, I don't have it. See, it's a good thing for my marriage that I did not know yesterday was new guitar day. I hope Andy Lanza did not know that it was new guitar day. because I think he's trying to thin down his herd. I've got, it's so funny because I remember being a kid. I remember being a teenager and like going, one day I could own a guitar. I would love to own an electric guitar. It would be great to own a guitar. And like I'm an adult now, and I was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 7 guitars. And you don't even think about it. It's like you casually, I don't have very many guitars. And then you look and you go, holy cow, I've got 7 guitars. And some of these guys who actually play places, they far outdo that. 3 of the 7 guitars are Kiss guitars. So I have an Ace Frehley right there. I have the Tommy Thayer right there. I have a Paul Stanley right over there. But yeah, it's funny. They just kind of pile up on you and you go, wait, what? Let's see. I'm over 2. Okay. Smart move. Thank you. Amelia Island here. Keep the faith, follow your heart in the job situation. Yeah, I just couldn't between the fact that it would be ultimately kind of a step back. Long term, it would be a step backwards financially, and because there's no guarantee. And here's the other thing, and I've said this before. When I was unemployed, I went for that job at the county. I got the job at the county. If I were to then bail on them in a month or 2 months or 3 weeks or whatever, and go to iHeart, and then of course in a year, iHeart doesn't care. They shove me off to the side again. The county's not going to be there, because they've been burned. Why would they help out again if they've been burned? Not that they gave me the job to help out, but it would certainly be a factor in deciding whether or not to give me another position. If there were one available. Well, this guy will just bail the next time he gets another radio gig. He's just using us as a paycheck until he gets a radio gig. And I can't, I want to commit to doing this job and doing it well. I believe it's a great decision in the long run. And we can strive to continuously grow this audience and views in the meantime. And that's what we're going to have to do. We're just going to have to grow this audience. And then the radio guys will be there. A lot of our guys are still going, hey, when are you going to come back out? When are you going to do things? And, it's going to happen when it happens, but there's still people who don't know about this stream, who don't know about this feed, or just think it's too difficult to get to. And those are some obstacles we're going to have to overcome. No doubt. I don't care. They don't want to lose the money. Yeah. Well, there you go. Everybody's saying echo. I don't know why. I'm sure someone called the higher up friends and put in a good word. Yeah. Yeah. I haven't reached out to, I haven't reached out to the friend of mine who has a text message from Podcast Boy's dad saying that Podcast Boy knows higher ups at iHeart and he got me fired. And it's like, wow. And they hired 1,299 other people to make it look good. Let's see. Teresa says, good morning. Out of curiosity, could you not host the football game like on YouTube, like right now? Oh, sure. Cameras, it's a separate set of rights, but what TJ does, no, I can't do. I mean, what Continental Sports Network does, no, I can't do that. I don't have the equipment. I don't have the wherewithal. I don't have the staff. I don't have the personnel. I don't have the training. Yeah, it's a very different thing. And again, we are going to be by ourselves on these games. You really need a crew to do that. I mean, you have to have people. NFHS automates everything, but here's the problem. If you've ever watched an NFHS broadcast, and they have automated cameras and automated everything. If you ever watch an NFHS broadcast, it is very obvious that they have automated everything. It's very obvious that it's automated because it tries to just follow the ball, and sometimes it's awful. Muriel says, good morning. Keith says, good morning. It was supposed to be 160. Oh, you said 170. 165. Gotcha. Good morning, Mr. Ivan. My fellow members of the 40, number 111 here. Beautiful Friday in Bullock County. Good. Tom says, good morning from Rankin. Let's see. The man who said money can't buy happiness never bought a new guitar or a set of golf clubs. This is true. I would do color commentary for free. I don't know if we want that there. Let's see. Since I haven't been able to listen, does this mean you aren't going back to another station in the morning? No, I think I said I am going to another station at some point. I just can't right now. I can't legally right now. But yeah, once I'm free of my sentence, yeah, I'll go back on the radio. I'm just not going to go. I'm not going to go back to WGIG, which I hate because, I mean, you know, when I was a kid, a little kid, you know, the adults listened to two stations. They listened to WMOG and WGIG. I've done mornings on both. Doing both of those made me very proud. Doing GIG's morning made me proudest of all because it was literally the thing I got into radio to do was that kind of show. And I did it. And I'll do it again, but I'll have to do it somewhere else. And that's the sad part. You know, I would love to do it on GIG, but it's just, it's not, I can't say it's not possible because it was offered to me, but, you know, it just isn't the right move. It isn't in the cards. I'm sad about that, but it is a thing. Speaking of the new show, Alan Tullis and his partners at FG Squared are not afraid to take the risk. I'm trying to remember what FG Squared is. It's like fat guys fixing, I forget what it is now. Fat guys fixing grub, something. I don't remember what it is, but I knew at one point. So they're going to open and we've had a light conversation about this before because I didn't know what I could say, what I couldn't say at the time. But yeah, oh wow. So did I not get all of that loaded? Oh, I did get it loaded. Okay, just checking. So let's see. Alan Tullis and his partners at FG Squared are not afraid to take risks. The food service industry in which the business operates presents plenty of opportunities to do that. He, Connor Rankin, David Ulrich, and Josh Nichols, the owners of FG. Oh, there it is. Fat Guys Food Group. Okay, there you go. I knew it was Fat Guys something. Already own Bubba Garcia's Ganat's Landing, Coastal Kitchen, Bubba Garcia's Downtown, Wolf Island Oyster Company, and Coastal Cucina on Jekyll Island, which I like all of those restaurants, by the way. But we keep finding ourselves at Coastal Cucina on Jekyll a lot. And there's a few reasons for it. One, it's just like some places you go to that do Italian try to do this kind of frou-frou version of Italian that is not what mom made, if you know what I'm saying. And Coastal Cucina on Jekyll, it's mom's Italian, you know, it's that kind of Italian food, and it's not ridiculously expensive. And Mrs. Rifen, very, very frequently on weekends, that's where we go. It has become the place that if we have friends and we're going to do a dinner with friends are in town, whatever, it has become the place where we go. It's great. But anyway, got a really good relationship with Alan. Alan has helped us out. People don't know how much Alan has helped us out over the years. He's a good listener to the show. But he also, when we do the turkey giveaway for the last, 3-4 years, he's been the place we got the turkeys. We used to go get the turkeys. We'd contact Walmart or Sam's and we'd say, hey, we need to get the turkeys. We need to get, 100 turkeys, but we can't pick them up until Tuesday morning and blah, 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 blah. And, they would go, oh, well, we can't really hold on to the turkeys that long. We go, could you please hold on to the turkeys? No, we can't really. And then like at the last minute, we'd get a reprieve and they'd go, okay, fine, we can hold on to the turkeys. But the problem was you either bought the turkeys early and had them hold on to them, or you took a chance that they wouldn't have it. And they would always say, we don't know if we're going to have the turkeys. We can't guarantee we'll have the turkeys. So it just got to be a real hassle dealing with those guys and trying to get that. And I'd mentioned that one day, and Alan just kind of stepped up and went, I can order some from Cisco. I could just order them from Cisco and just have them delivered that morning. And I went, what? You can do what? Because when people think about doing that, people are always telling me, you should just expand this. It goes, well, you should just expand it. And they don't understand how small of an operation I am, because it's pretty much just me and any volunteers who help out. But the big resources, the volunteers are there for the day of, but the big resources like storage of stuff and that kind of thing, that's got to happen somewhere, and it needs to happen in a way, you can't just, if you have room to put 100 turkeys somewhere in a freezer, what are you doing with that the other 300 days, 360 days of the year? It's just not logical that somebody just has a place to store hundreds of turkeys unless that's their business. So, Alan is the one who reached out and said, hey, I can get these things from Cisco and we can just deliver them straight there. He's like, I can get you a whole pallet. And I was like, how much is in a pallet? It's 120. That's why, actually, that and the fact that we did consistently have money left over every year that we would donate to charity. And by the way, I've been in touch with, I was in touch with Dottie yesterday because she was asking me, what I thought about iHeart supporting Taste of Glenn again this year, even though I'm not there. And I said, please reach out to them because they'd be foolish not to. But we've always made it a kind of a tradition to donate the extra proceeds to the Glenn Community Crisis Center. And I want to do the turkey giveaway this year. This is no exception. And I want to do the same thing, give the proceeds to the Glenn Community Crisis Center. But that having been said, a pallet of turkeys is 120 turkeys. That's how we grew. We decided to expand from 100 to 120 because it was easier to order a pallet. It was easier to have the pallet delivered directly there. We knew we could afford it because every year we get enough money to do that. And we still have, money left over, and it just made sense. So that's why we grew it. And it was Alan. Alan really has been the guy. And, it's always upsetting to me because iHeart takes so long to write a check. I always feel horrible, because I'm having to badger them to get a check for this guy who did something to help us engage in a charitable endeavor. Anyway, Alan's been very supportive. So I'm going to say this. They're building a booth at SeaCal. And I will tell you, I think, I will tell you this. The day after iHeart dropped the hammer, I was getting a preview of what the booth might look like at SeaCal. In fact, I was having lunch. I had lunch the day after this all went down. I think I'm right on this. I think it was the very next day. It might have been a couple of days later. In my mind, it's the very next day, but it might not actually have been the next day. It might have been 2 days later. Anyway, because word didn't get out that first day. But once word had gotten out, I had lunch with Palmer and David Butler and Jeff Burton and Andy. I forgot about Andy was there too. Andy Jones. And we were just kind of talking about, what's the future look like? What happened, what went down, what's the future look like? And I could not, I kept telling them, I'm going to go on the radio. I'm going to do my own show. I'm going to own my own show. I'm going to, I already, like I said, everything that I'm doing right now, the specifics are getting filled in, but the broad strokes were kind of there about 2 seconds after they told me my position was gone. And, but one of the things was Alan had reached out and said, hey, you want to do your show from our butcher shop place? Because they're going to serve breakfast and, food and stuff. And so I went over after I did the lunch, I went over to the, what was, I guess, Marshside Market. And, they went in and said, would this area be good? Would this, and literally have just been really great in working with me about putting the booth there. I don't know when they open, should we do the stream from there? What do you think? Should that be a thing? Is that going to be a thing? We just go do the stream from over there? But certainly when I go do the radio show, I have a booth at SeaCal that I'm going to do the radio show from. So it's going to be neat because we're going to be in front of people. I think that place is going to be a success. They're going to do a breakfast thing. It's in a perfect spot for it. And, I think I saw a couple of people commenting negatively when I posted the article that SeaCal put on, or the Facebook post. I posted it myself with a little hint about what's to come there. But a couple of people were kind of naysaying this thing, but I think it's going to be a heck of an operation. I think it's, because it is butcher shop, but it will also kind of be part restaurant and part gas station. And I think it's going to go well. I think it's going to go really well. Kratom supporters send email blitz ahead of meeting. The meeting is today, by the way. at the College of Coastal Georgia, have a big blue panel hearing. Really, blue ribble. I told you my brain stopped working during the second half last night. Apparently, still not working. Blue Ribbon Committee is meeting at the College of Coastal Georgia today about Kratom. Jack Kingston. It's got to be tough being a lobbyist, because sometimes people will hire you to spread the word about things that probably shouldn't be spreading the word about. Kratom is odd. By the way, for those playing the drinking game, I got nothing that time. Kratom is odd, man. I get when there is a drug, and I put drug in quotes there for Kratom, where there are stores that just open up and all they do is sell that one thing. It makes me a little leery, I'll just say. I think that's the best way to say it. Just leery. Let's see. Does it pay that good to do the game that you would still do it alone after saying it takes multiple people? If not, why put yourself in that position? Here's why. And no, it doesn't pay great. And I am 100% not doing it for the money. Because it doesn't pay great. But the reason I'm doing it is because if I don't do it, it's not going to get done. That's the bottom line. If I hadn't stepped up to do it, they had no backup plan, because they didn't even understand how it works. They literally called me and said, when you guys broadcast the high school games, you just flip a switch and they send it to you? Do they just dial it in to you? Do they connect by internet to you and just give you and I'm like, no. They're like, do you fire commercials and within this, or is it all them? And I'm like, who's them? No, we do it. And then literally the light came on. I was like, so you produce the broadcast? And this was, with a little more than 48 hours to go before the start of the season. I'm having this conversation. So, what I'm going to tell you is it wasn't going to happen. I mean, they said it was going to happen, and they said they were going to make it happen, but I saw no avenue for it to happen. And I didn't think that was right for the community. And God's honest truth, that is why I did it. I did it because I know that those broadcasts get listened to. I know that because I've seen the numbers. I've seen the streaming bump up. I used to, on Monday mornings, I would get a chart. I'd get a little Excel spreadsheet automated, mailed to me at 8:00 every Monday morning. And it was the previous week's streaming hours, but it was every single hour, like in all of our iHeart stations in Brunswick, every single hour ranked by listenership. Every hour. And the funny thing was, almost without fail, the top 20 hours were Straight Talk. I mean, and again, it's 24 hours a day times 7 times 5. So what, 120 times 7 is what, 840 hours, right? So 840 different hours ranked. The top 20 were almost always Straight Talk until high school football season, when some of the Glen Academy Brunswick High games would sneak into the top 20. Some of those hours would 18, 17, that kind of thing. So I know they were listened to because they actually, I saw the results on the streaming. They have amazing monitors and stuff like that, and stats that they gather on the streaming. But as I said, I know they get listened to. I know the community wants them. I know that I was being bugged incessantly about whether or not it was going to happen. And so they asked me to help out, and I didn't do it for them. I'm really kind of not doing it for me, and I'm definitely not doing it for the money. I'm doing it so that these things will happen, because I don't know how they would have done it otherwise. And I've tried to figure it out. And I know that they didn't have time to try and figure it out because they were so vested in somehow the games will magically be delivered to us and we'll just turn them on. They thought we just turned them on and that they just magically happened. I don't get it. I don't ask questions. But why put myself in that position? The same reason that I stay behind for hurricanes, because there's certain things you do to serve the community in the job that I do. And this was one of them. Excited for Sea-Cow. Missed that butcher shop. Good morning. Welcome to your weekend. Be blessed. Thank you, sir. And you as well. With your new gig, sitting through a whole commission meeting should be mandatory. Constituents' lives matter. Now, there's certain things I'll do for my community, but there's a line I got to draw. I sat through a whole commission meeting earlier this year because I had to speak at one. It was over a site plan for the neighborhood here. And I spoke in favor of altering the site plan because honest to goodness, the guy who's been developing the back part of our neighborhood has been trying for a number of years, and I sense his frustration. He's been trying to do it at a good level with good builders, and a lot of people in the neighborhood, unfortunately, think that if they just stomp their feet and scream and holler enough, that none of it will happen, and that land will just remain empty and undeveloped. Well, that's just not reality. And the sad fact is that at some point he's just going to get fed up with trying to do it the right way with all the resistance, and he's already approved to do it the wrong way, so he can go do that. So I was trying to help that along. Unfortunately, it didn't work out this one time, but I did have to sit through a whole commission meeting, and no thanks, especially like last night's apparently. Good morning, my despicable fellow people. Yeah, you're the one I got to reach out to you. Let's see. I remember listening to WMOG around the town. No, News Around the Town. Get it right. News Around the Town. With John Lane. Absolutely. And Richard Martin. And I did News Around the Town a little bit. That was always a kind of a thrill because of that. Good morning from number 88. Sounds like next meetup needs to be Coastal Cucina. If I did that, I'd probably get massacred because you got to get $10 to get onto Jekyll and then go to it. Let's see. When people say you should they have absolutely no clue of logistics. Well, and that's like when iHeart and I parted ways. That was a lot of people. You should just go buy a radio station. I was like, oh, okay. I should just go buy a radio station and make sure there's an engineer that can handle all of the things that will invariably break, and have a traffic person and have a sales staff and file all my legal stuff for the license. And there's just a lot of expense that goes with owning a radio station that, frankly, I don't think I could cover with one station alone. We've talked about that before. It's a lot of turkey. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. 120 turkeys in the pallet. So the booth is what the mystery box is. Did he post that? Oh, I didn't even know that. Yeah, that's what it is. I'm gonna do the show out there. How often? Don't know. Hopefully every day. Because that's the other thing, is there was discussion when I was going to the county, and I've told you this before, when we were talking about the county, there was discussion about whether or not, I could do the radio show. And my thing was, I'm going to do the radio show. I was not going to take the county job unless they said, yes, of course you can do the radio show. And they had no problem with it. There was no problem whatsoever. But then there were kind of logistical questions. When could you get here? When would when would your hours be, and that kind of thing. And then I mentioned, well, once the show gets going, I'm probably going to do it over at the Sea-Cow over here. And for a second there, somebody was like, well, that's going to make it even worse. I'm like, no. I'll be much closer. I'll be right there. If my day is at Pate, I'll be right there. And if my day's at the public safety complex, it's kind of a wash. It'll be about the same distance either way. But yeah, I didn't know he posted the mystery box. So that's funny. I heard it's no WKRP. Good morning from 147. Good to have you here. Yes. Yeah, I got to talk to you. Sometimes it takes the right leadership to get things rolling. Sea-Cow will be great. Yeah, I agree. So excited for Sea-Cow to open. And I'll be there in the morning for breakfast. Sea-Cow is going to likely be a locally owned Buc-ee's. I don't know if that's the case. There will be no Kratom at Sea-Cow. Thank you for that, Alan. Thank you. Are cashing those lobbyist checks tough? Why is it called a blue ribbon panel? They judging livestock? I don't know. Does this mean you can get off to come to our meetings now? Not really. No, I mean, my work day is kind of longer. Was not breaking the GA radio contract an option? For iHeart, you mean? I mean, it would have cost them money. They can at least recoup a little bit of that by broadcasting. They were going to have to pay it out either way, but at least they can sell sponsorships on what's there. But the other thing, and I think this is part of it, is, there are people in Savannah, and understand again, the people in Savannah had nothing to do with this decision, didn't know any of this was coming down. And this is the first time I've seen them do a lot of these downsizings, but most of the time there are people involved in every market who at least know what's going on. And this time they kept everybody, because I've talked to not just the guys in Savannah, I've talked to people in other markets who were really ticked off because they were, over certain markets and they had no idea they were about to lose people that they valued. And, one of the things that has happened is iHeart now really doesn't have a lot of local / community presence or involvement, which is why I think they'll be happy to support Taste of Glenn. And I think the market manager in Savannah recognizes that there is nothing supporting the community right now at those stations. He recognizes, because he's a good man, he recognizes that part of our mission is we have to serve our communities. And I think this is one way that he felt like they could redeem being involved in the communities. And again, I'm speaking for him. This is just my speculation, but just based on some of the emails that I know that he's swapped with the school system, because a lot of that's been shared with me. I think he believes this is a way that they could continue to stay involved in the community. So that would be another reason why. But otherwise, they would have to pay it out and lose the money. No one would be able to put anything together in time to do this because they literally settled on everything, yesterday. So, it's a lot of moving parts there, but I think, a lot of it is the Savannah market guys didn't want to lose this connection to the community because they have already lost so many connections to the community. Don't let it get done. Then when I petitioned the FCC for documentation, actually proved that iHeart no longer serves the community. Well, again, I am should have let them lay in the bed they made. Well, again, the thing about that though, Brad, is honestly, if the negative consequence was that the company is harmed, okay, fine. But the genuine negative consequence was that the community was going to be harmed. And that's where I kind of have to draw the line and say, you know what, I'm going to step up and help out. And so I'm doing that. And I appreciate that, sir. Thank you so much. We got a lot of people just stringing. We haven't really gotten into a bunch of the good stuff here. Robbie and Sarah, say good morning from Double O. Wait a minute. Carolyn says, good morning. Cole, the Lego Master. Are they keeping Holtz in the parking lot? That is a good question. I don't know if they're keeping Holtz in the parking. I hope that they are keeping Holtz in the parking lot. I think it would be a very good move to keep Holtz there because Holtz is amazing, but I don't know. Alec, by the way, congratulations on being recognized by the city commission this week, Alec. But at some point, I'd like to go with you and our team. Absolutely. I would love that as well. You know where to find me. I would love that, though. Yeah, that's great. Alex, great. Let's see. Let's do some things. New state jobs record set. How about that? Now, what's interesting is all-time highs in the labor force, more than 5.4 million in employment, with more than 5 million in July. Unemployment rate declined to 3.3%, which is 0.8 percentage points below the national average. A year ago, it was 3.3%. And that's, you go, wait a minute. We have new records, numbers of jobs. How is the unemployment rate the same? Well, it means we have more people coming into Georgia, more people in the labor force. Georgians are working at the highest levels of employment and labor force participation in our state's history, said Georgia Labor Commissioner Barbara Rivera Holmes. A record like this is not a finish line. It's a responsibility to make sure every Georgian has the opportunity to get ahead of work. Get ahead of work? That can't be the whole thing. Did we lose something with the ticker down here? Is that what happened? So I think there's a line missing. The sectors with the well, let me look. I can just take a look. Yeah, get ahead. Okay, there we go. And experience the dignity of work. That makes more sense. I found this interesting. Sectors with the most month-over-month gains were healthcare and social assistance, construction, information, durable goods manufacturing, and private education services. So manufacturing, a little bit of that, but mostly other things. Sectors with the most job gains over the past year were healthcare and social assistance, durable goods manufacturing, private education services, real estate and rental leasing, other services, and information. Jobs were down over the month in local government. Whew, guess I got lucky on that one. Administrative and support services, accommodation and food services. That surprises me. Unless people just aren't going out as much, traveling as much. Professional and technical services and non-durable goods manufacturing. So some manufacturing up, some manufacturing down. All right, let's see what else we have here. 126-acre commercial residential project proposed for North Bryan County. Again, Bryan County is one of these places we always talk about the amazing growth we're experiencing in this area. And then we get the census and it's like 4%. We go, okay, that's amazing. But, it's growth and it's good and it's positive. Then you look at Bryan County, who'll see like census to census, 40% growth. Just insane. They need this. I don't know how much flack they'll get. I don't know how much, people will stand up and scream because every time somebody wants to do some big residential thing, somebody stands up and screams. But they need it. They very, very, very much need it. Let's see. Okay, so here you go. Alex says, thank you. You're absolutely welcome. And again, congratulations. Alec, for those of you who don't know, Alec was recognized by the city as well as his team. And I don't want to take anything away from the whole team that was doing stuff. And Alec, I know, because I know Alec, he won't take anything away from his team. He's very good about stuff like that, making sure everybody gets recognized. But they were recognized by the city for their response to the Brantley fires because, Alec, at some point, as I'm watching it from a distance, Alec at some point might as well have been Brantley's EMA manager. I mean, he was, they stood up and they did yeoman's work in making sure there was information, facilities were manned. They were on it. They were on it. So again, congratulations to you and your whole squad that was working there. Holtz isn't going anywhere. Thank goodness. Holtz is amazing. Again, everybody who screams Krispy Kreme, Holtz. No, you for years we've heard people go, oh, we've got to have Krispy Kreme here. That's the one thing we're missing in Glenn County, Krispy Kreme. And I always say, we got Holtz. We got Holtz, and we don't need anything really more than Holtz. Let's see. Bloomingdale City Council approves data center moratorium. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this out loud. I'm going to say this, and people aren't going to like it. I love the fact that all of these places are banning data centers. Why do I love the fact that all these places are banning data centers? Because Weyerhaeuser is selling off land cheap in Glenn County. Big, gigantic swaths of land. Weyerhaeuser is getting rid of it because Weyerhaeuser is getting out of the timber in Georgia business. That means there's a lot of land that's going to become something in Glenn County. Now, you can say to yourself, it should be something else. It shouldn't be a data center. Okay. How about 200 houses and all of the cars? So 200 houses, at least 400 new cars, at least, 900 more people tapping our infrastructure, or you could just have a data center that will go a long way towards relieving our property tax burden. So here's what I'm going to say. Bloomingdale, please don't want a data center. Don't have a data center. Get rid of the data centers. Don't have it. Put a moratorium on. Keep the moratorium in place forever. Let's get the Weyerhaeuser land, some of it. Again, one thing you need is a lot of space and a bit of a buffer from everywhere else. We have that here. Data center would be good here. It could work well. Just saying. And I've got an article this morning just about, I think it's Noah Rothman who wrote it, and just his frustration at the fact that people have just dug their heels in about these data centers. And nothing, yeah, it is Noah Rothman. I'm looking at it here. Nothing can change it. Nothing can change people's minds on the data center. So, again, here's the thing: we need them. We got to have them. So now, let's do it. All right, let's see. What else do we have? New Chatham County Emergency Command Center taking shape ahead of 2027 opening. Good to see. We'd like to see that happening with the Glenn EOC as well. There's an emergency center being built one day around the public safety complex, maybe at some point. And that's ultimately, I think, where my office is going to wind up being. Armed robbery reported near GSU Savannah campus. And all I can say is, at least this morning, I'm not telling you somebody got shot. I can tell you somebody almost got shot, because there were shots fired in the robbery, but nobody got shot yesterday in Savannah. They almost got shot. So that's much better. We're doing far better now. And again, this is the second time this week that it was over there at the old Armstrong campus, near Windsor Forest. Georgia Southern University sent out an Eagle Alert Thursday evening, warning students who live near the Armstrong campus to shelter in place or after an off-campus armed robbery was reported. And then you go down to Alderman Curtis Purdy, said the incident appeared to be a targeted event involving, strangely enough, younger individuals. The alderman said the reported robbery involved shots fired. It was a target event involving younger individuals who I would be willing to bet are probably part of, because individuals and younger, I bet they were part of a group. Sounds like maybe there was some group activity happening in Savannah yesterday that led to shots fired. How about that? Oh, let's see. What do we got? Well, we got a lot that we haven't gotten to. After executive orders, Nation is ready to be working on executive order states for the governor. Good. Executive order, it is a neat game. It's a fun game. It is a time suck. Oh, it's a time suck. But it is that. Good morning, Scott, from number 70. Don't forget about the second Sunday, January 10th, 26th Annual Community Appreciation Program. Diane Reed, we're honoring South Georgia 40. Howard Coffin Park. Diane, you are the sweetest lady. Doors open at 4. Program starts at 6. Free program. Diane Reed, save the youth. How about that? Chuck asks, was the dog ordinance voted on last night? No, it was not. It was tabled, from what I understand, which I just I can't believe it. This thing, it's been out there. It's been there for community input. One particular group posted a very angry Facebook post the other day saying that they were never consulted and they were never asked about this. And yet, on June 17th of 2025, when the process began, they were sent an email saying, we are going to redo the ordinances. We would like your input. They never responded. Then all of a sudden, we had no involvement in this. We were never asked or consulted. They were asked. June 17th, 2025. My dad's birthday. I don't think that's why the email was sent that day, though. Let's see. We have 30 Dunkins. It will not hurt to have a couple of Krispy Kremes. Yeah, but the point is that you don't need it because you got Holtz. That's all I'm saying. We saw firsthand Alec working hard for Brantley. He really did. And it was one of those things where it was just like, it's not their jurisdiction, but it's kind of the, I've been studying the NIMS principles of late. That's, I talked, I think, a few times about the sheer volume of training things that I'm having to do, and still having to do. Did some training this week. I would say 75 to 80% of the training that I do is like EMA/NIMS related. Because it's that big of a deal. But a lot of that is other agencies. The whole purpose of NIMS is for different agencies, different places, different commands to come together, to unify under one command, and to execute the relief of these incidents. And so these guys step up and they go do for it's not directly Alec's domain to have to worry about Brantley County, but he did. And that was huge. That's huge. Not everybody would have done that. So before you get on the air, let me know so I can communicate with the guy that's helping you, and I may be able to get you on internet radio. I'll boot up Tune Local at work. Great. Good. That'll be a thing. What about your Kiss tribute band? I don't know that I would call it a tribute band. Let's call it a Kiss cover band. Because a Kiss tribute band would seem to imply that there's makeup and costumes. And one thing you don't want is me squeezed into spandex. Even after I'd lost all the weight a couple of years ago, which, again, I got to just get moving again. That's the big thing there. But because I've not been moving at all. Even while you still didn't want to see me in spandex. So there'll be no makeup. There'll be no wigs. There'll be no spandex. I would call it a Kiss cover band. We just play Kiss songs. The reality is we had a few times we played together. I think we were really good. And we haven't played since Father's Day 2025. It's the last time we got together. And that was, of all the times we got together, it was probably the not as good one. I was having allergies. My voice wasn't great. I think a lot of people were distracted because it was Father's Day. And I think just ultimately we didn't have a great, it wasn't terrible, but it just wasn't great. And I don't know what happened to the vibe after that, but we've got a group text and I'll say, hey, let's clear some dates. And then it kind of gets halfway addressed and then doesn't. So, I'd like to do it. As busy as I am, I may be the doing it on weekends, I'm probably the least busy person because, Reed Trawick, drums, he does a lot of gigs, plays with Roy Gentry a lot. Which Roy, when Roy knew this was going on, we were first really starting to do this. Roy was like fully embracing the fact that we were doing this. He loved it. He kept going, if you play a gig, I want to do sound. Because just like the Gentry family are just awesome people. And then you've got Dan Vashaw, and Dan Vashaw's in 37 different bands, and they all play every night. So that's tough. Dan plays in, I think, almost every band in the area, and they play every single night with every band. I just think he does like 15 minutes and then runs and does another gig and then does another band. So, he's tough to get on the weekends. And then Doc Lynn, Howard Lynn, is in the Savannah area. What would you say he's near? Because he's near the that ale house. He's just right down the road from it. And the 1519 ale house that I'd never have gotten to go to, that I was recommended very strongly I should go to. He's right there. And he makes it down or we make it up. He's got a great place to play up at his place. Got a little pool house where he's just got a PA set up so we can just plug in and play just about. So I don't think he's an obstacle to it, but the other two guys just are busy. They're very busy on the weekends. So it's just a matter of getting everybody together. But yeah, it hasn't happened, unfortunately, in over a year now. We were kind of humming along about once a month and then just boom, stopped. How many guitars does one man need? Just one more. Yeah, I'll tell you, the last one I felt bad because I bought the Tommy Thayer. I'd wanted the Tommy Thayer for a while, and I knew that those things were limited and they'll eventually stop making them. And I didn't want to, miss out on it because it's just a beautiful, beautiful guitar. Beautiful, nice, purple. Well, it's blue, but it's got this sparkly stuff in it. It's a very spaceman looking guitar, which I love. And it's a Les Paul, which I also love. And it's got a Seymour Duncan in it. And I love that. And I really wanted that guitar. And I wound up, speaking of Continental Sports Network, they out of nowhere hired me to do 3 games in one day. And so all of a sudden, I had money to buy it. It was found money. And I had money to buy the guitar. And I kind of said to Mrs. Wright, hey, I just got this money. Can I do the guitar that I really wanted? And she's okay, fine. I was like, look, I can't see me wanting any more guitars. I can't see me ever wanting another guitar. So you let me get this one. I'll be good. Don't worry about it. We'll be set. you won't have me bothering you about guitars ever again, because that's it. And so I got that in January, and then about it was like 2.5 months later. And I'm not a guy who just stockpiles guitars. But a couple of months later, we were sitting at Marside having dinner, and Crawford Perkins calls me from So Glow Guitar Gallery. And Crawford says, "Hey, are you interested in a Paul Stanley Iceman?" Yes. Yes, I'm interested. I've been interested since Love Gun when I was 6 years old, and I saw him playing that guitar. It's a great shaped guitar. Yes, I'm interested. So I got a guy here who wants to sell one. He says, I think it's practically new. I went, oh, okay. Yes, I would like to see this. And here's the thing. I had just gotten a ratings bonus from iHeart. Because I don't know if you know this or not, but we had really good ratings. To the point that I was getting bonuses for the ratings. And this was the whole building bonus too. So I had just gotten that bonus. It had literally come in that week. And I said, yes, I will come down and look at it. Mrs. Rife is like, you're not buying it. I'm like, no, I'm going to look at it. And I just got a bonus and I can afford it. And still the bonus is mostly there. I think, if the price is good. And so we went down there and checked it out. Beautiful, sparkly Iceman, Paul Stanley model. It's the lower end model, but I think he wanted $350 for it. And the case was $200. The case was $200, in value. So $350 for the guitar and the case. What are you supposed to do? And then I looked at it closer and I realized none of the plastic coverings had been taken off of it. The guitar had never been played. And so she relented because she's awesome. So yeah, but that's the last one. I haven't bought one since then. That was it. That was the last, and you never know, but for now, that's the thing. Weyerhaeuser must have the same business playoff. iHeart build a new facility in Old State Patrol, then shut the post down less than 5 years. Yeah, I never understood why they spent all that money building that facility only to not do anything really here anymore ever. Have you ever listened to the Terry Gross interview with Gene? Yes, I have. He is very insulting to her, but I think probably Terry Gross needs a slap in the face every so often. Figuratively, I'm not suggesting violence towards women. Lynn's in Rincon. You're absolutely right. He's your dog. Well, tell him hello next time. Tell him hello next time you stop by and see him. Tell him I said hi. I mean, I can say hi to him on the group text. He is a ridiculously super good guitar player. He's also a ridiculously super smart guy. Which, I mean, he's a doctor, so, but that doesn't always mean everything. But in his case, it does. And you know me, I've always said I like I like smart people. I don't like stupid people. I'm a big fan of smart people. I'm a big fan of being around smart people because I feel like you glean things from them. You learn things from them. They think differently. And he's a super, super smart guy, but really, really good guitar player. I can pass. And only on certain things can I pass. He's just good. And just a good guy. So, yeah, he's in Rincon. You're right. It's right, but it's right down the road from that 1519. Where he lives is right down the road from that 1519 ale house. And that was because people were suggesting when I was first on in Savannah, people were going, hey, if you're in Rincon, because I think we went to Rincon for one of the high school games, and we always would pick a place in the area. I always pick a place in the area to have dinner before the game. And somebody suggested we go to the 1519 ale house. And I was like, okay, we'll go to whatever. It's not, is it 1519? Is that right? Anyway. So we went that night when we were recommended to go there, and we could not get near it because the parking was just insane. So we went, El Real was across the street. And so we went to El Real, and El Real was good. I liked it. It was fun. It was nice. And we actually could park there. And we did that, went to the game. And then shortly thereafter, we played at Doc Lynn's place, and I was like, I was going to have lunch afterwards because we literally started like 8 in the morning and went till noon. We played for like 4 hours. It was 108. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I knew I was screwing that up. I don't know what 1519 is. I have no idea what that is. But 108 is some number and ale house. Yeah. So anyway, so I was there and I said, well, I'm going to go get lunch anyway. I'll just go down to the 108 ale house. And I go down there and they're closed on Sundays. I don't know why you would close on Sundays. I don't know, but they were closed on Sundays. So I could not do it. But you said we were, yeah. You want to talk about people who think differently? Yeah, I think you've got it right there. 1519 is the downtown. You're right. That's the one. 15. I got that confused. You're right. I knew it had a number somewhere. 1519 is the place on Newcastle Street. You're right, on the old Crest building. But 108 Ale House is the one I'm talking about, and it is right across the street from El Real. And we had a great time there. Since it is Friday, could you do a long distance dedication and play Death on your Kiss guitar and dedicate to 69? I'm assuming you mean Beth. I don't know Beth on the guitar. I've never gone to learn Beth on the guitar because I don't know. Is it 1509? Oh well, I'm done. I'm toast. I'm just giving up at this point. So is it 1509 Ale House? Or is it 1509 1509 is the restaurant? I don't even know anymore. I'm confused at this point. Yeah, I never learned Beth on the guitar. I can tell you, I can play Room Service, play Rock and Roll All Night. I can play Black Diamond, play Deuce. Love to play Deuce. Play Detroit Rock City, King of the Nighttime World, God of Thunder, Rocket Ride. Can't do Beth. 1509 is on Newcastle. Thank you. Okay, there you go. Sorry. Yeah. Garrett told me 1519, but it's 1509. You're right. Now, yes, and 1500 is the Mexican. No, isn't that 1800? Oh, we got no numbers here. This may be a good lesson for all business owners. Unless your number is distinctive, don't do it. Don't put a number in there. Of course, I do that with my, the South Georgia 40. But oh, yeah, is the Mexican place isn't 1500, isn't it 1800? Oh, well, see, again, it is 1800. 1-800 Mexican restaurant. Yeah, I thought that was 1800. Okay. Huh. Yeah, don't put a number in your business name. Don't do it. Tough luck, it happens. 96 present from St. Pete Dance Party. Oh, yeah, these guys are shaggers. You got to watch out for these guys. Be careful. Number is BR549. What is that? I don't even know what that is. Yeah, Garrett, it's time to give up. It's time to give up. Good morning. After months of pressure from 25, 69, and 87, I'm asking to become part of the South Georgia 40. May I have a number? I have not given a number in a little while. And I always say we'll limit it to 3 per day. So you, Tate, you are 201. 201 in the South Georgia 40. How about that? Yeah, Dan's on top of it, 1800. Yeah, it's 1800. It's not 1500. It's 1800. Don't put a number in your business. This is what happens. And I guess, on the other side, you can say, well, people are talking about us, but people are talking about you in a way that is completely confusing. It's bad for your branding. It's bad for your branding. All right, let me see what I got. I can't see the tiny little 77-year-old man, Hilton Head Island man, facing criminal child sex charges. And a lot of them, by the way. Multiple different children. Not a good thing. 2-state investigation landed the Hilton Head Island senior citizen in jail. 77-year-old William Beckemeyer is facing 4 charges of criminal sexual conduct with a minor. According to the sheriff's office in Beaufort County and police in Huntersville, North Carolina, he abused I told you, multiple different victims, 4 different victims over a period of time, knew all of them before the abuse started. Now, I do have an issue with this article. And that is, they do this thing in the article that I don't like it when people do. And they literally go, well, according to statistics from 2020, 600,000 children are abused or neglected each year. And it'll say something like an estimated 600 and something thousand kids are abused or neglected. And it's like, what is your definition of neglected? Because I find it, I know some of you guys are just straight up cynics. I'm a skeptic, but not a cynic. And I am skeptical of the 600 number. I find it difficult to believe that 600,000 children are mangled and abused every single year. Clearly it happens because we arrest people for it and we convict people for it. But I find it hard to believe that much of the country is horrible. And I feel like maybe it's in the definition where like neglected means that, you forgot to give them a Tic Tac at dinner at bedtime or something. Well, it's kind of like, hungry. The child goes hungry. And then you find out that there's a really weird formula for children going hungry. And it's like the number of families. This is literally when they talk about the number of children who go hungry. They take the number of people who qualify for government assistance who don't take the government assistance, and then the number of children in those households that are qualifying for government assistance but don't get government assistance, and those are the people that they consider hungry. So the children in those households, and there's any number of reasons why the families don't take government assistance, but the children in those households are referred to as hungry. But that's, so I almost feel like there's a statistical game being played there. And it usually happens when activists get involved and when government contributions get involved. Let's see what we've got here, because we haven't looked at the, Junior Samples car sales. BR 549 is the phone number from Hee Haw. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Tate, happy now? Gary confirms that, yes, it is Hee Haw. And I've got a little thing. There we go. Okay, so my family biz is Studio 912, but I get people say 912. We bought the name and the cost to rebrand /vinyl. Studio 9, see, but 912, and that's what I said earlier. I said, don't put a number in your name unless it's something memorable. If you're a CBD store and you want to call yourself 420 CBD, you're going to do okay. If you're Sweetie and you got to bark a lot, she doesn't even know numbers. But so I'm telling you, somebody's walking past, and that's what that's about now. Used to not be that way, but the last year or two, that's the way of the beast now. So 912 though is not bad. 912 is not bad. Jacksonville story about a man stabbed to death under a pier. Mr. Beagle, the victim, was at one point a Camden resident, gave him hand and work years ago. Prayers to a couple of kids I think he had. Oh, that's terrible thing that has happened. So yeah, definitely. And we don't want to always talk about the terrible, but sometimes you got to, because it happens. I thought this was interesting. One of Alec Murdaugh's attorneys, and it was Dick Harpootlian, oddly enough. He get ready for this one. Admitted Thursday he was not honest about results from his client's polygraph test. Dick Harpootlian wrote in a letter to Judge Deborah McCaslin that his August 10th statement about Murdaugh passing a polygraph test was incorrect, and that he had mistakenly conflated several facts. One of the facts, obviously, is the fact that he did not pass the polygraph test. Harpootlian made the comment during a pretrial hearing in Lexington County where he claimed Murdaugh passed a test with flying colors. I'm sorry, I mistakenly conflated two things. The two things he conflated, obviously, were the fact that he didn't pass with the thought that he did pass, and the fact that he didn't pass kind of disappeared during the conflation. This is why, again, many years people, why don't you just do the show from your house? That's why. Right there. When the RE20, by the way, when the RE20 is picking it up, so he's adding a little character to the broadcast. When the RE20 is picking it up, you know it's loud because the RE20 does a great job of just screening stuff out. Yeah, no, just crazy. Yeah, he passed, literally says he passed a polygraph test with flying colors. State prosecutors, however, argued that Murdoch never even took a polygraph test when he was tried for the deaths of his wife and son. How do you, again, for those of you who think this guy's innocent, when they have to make up a polygraph test, sweetie, better. No, you were doing better earlier. She got quieter when I yelled at her. All right. She's still in there trying to bark, but she knows she's not supposed to. She's in there going, all right, let's see. But yeah, when you're literally having to make stuff up about your client passing a polygraph test, that's probably not a good thing. New details in the Daphne Park attempted rape revealed in indictment. Boy, this is terrible too. The guy was apparently hanging out naked in the ladies' room. Grand dog heard Sweetie and started barking. And I can't do anything. I'm stuck here. I can't go to commercial because we ain't got no commercials because we don't sell this broadcast yet. But anyway, yeah, the guy was sitting naked. I mean, so you want to talk about somebody just had intent? You want to talk about clear intent to rape someone? He was prepared. And it's just, again, there's certain mindsets I don't understand. Sweetie. All right, maybe that worked. No, almost. This is Noah Rothman's piece. I was talking about this earlier. What time is it? 8:22. Oh, golly. I really need to try. I try to wrap this thing up nowadays by 8. I have to be in place at work by 9:30, but I try to be there a lot earlier because the later I get there, the later I get to stay. And on a day like today, where it's Friday and I got to go to the stadium this evening, I can't really just, I got to have a little bit of time between those two things. So anyway, Noah Rothman's piece. Is there no cure for data center hysteria? And this is some interesting stuff. The United States still holds the upper hand in the AI arms race between America and China, as Matthias Döpfner wrote in The Spectator. But on the present course, America's advantage will erode. And now listen to this quote, and this is again from The Spectator. American platform operators report that China is actively fueling AI skeptical sentiment across Western social media. The government said this. And of course, and I'm going to use the term Trump derangement syndrome because, I don't like to overuse terms that I think are way overused already. And I think TDS is one of those that is way overused. But really, there is a contingent, unfortunately, in this country of people, and many of them in the media, who anything that comes out of Trump's mouth has to be wrong, bad, evil, and a lie. Everything. And, I would say, does he bring it on himself? Because sometimes he does lie and sometimes they say things that are wrong. But you should still treat every statement by an administration objectively. And if most of them turn out to be lies or whatever, you think they're lies, then that's fine. Then you can report on them as such. But, give every statement the benefit of the doubt from an administration. Sorry. That having been said, the administration put this out a while back. That Chinese social media, Chinese influences in our social media, and Chinese social media being TikTok, was fueling this anti-data center hysteria. And it's true. All of the story, when people come to it, and people really think they're very smart, and they'll always send me you need to do your research. And what I have found is do your research means watch a bunch of TikTokers and YouTubers who spew lines that they got from China, basically. That's do your research, not actual research. And then they'll send these links to these articles that are also fueled by some of the exact same misinformation And when you actually dig behind a lot of the articles they send you, this stuff's not true. And we find that over and over and over and over again. And so it's frustrating to me because I know the reality behind this. I know that this is good stuff. I know that Loudoun County, Virginia, one of the wealthiest counties in the country, has more data center concentration than anywhere else in the United States, and they're doing great. So I know data centers aren't destroying things. I know data centers aren't destroying communities like that sign says. But we also in this era, and you know I'm right about this, we in this era have a propensity to just want to believe conspiracies. We want to believe way out wacky. The things that used to be like reserved for Art Bell are now mainstream talking points around the water cooler. It's kind of scary to me. But anyway, let's go back to this. American platform operators report that China is actively fueling AI skeptical sentiment across Western social media, he observed. Propaganda aimed at inducing anxiety and slowing down rivals is taking its toll. That's putting it lightly, as pollster Robinson Myers' data indicate. Over the past year, we've asked Americans whether they would support or oppose a data center being built where they live. We haven't changed the wording. When we first polled the question a year ago, Americans were split 43-42 support oppose. 43% supported, 42% opposed. When we asked again in February, a bare majority opposed data centers. Today, 75% of Americans say they would oppose a data center being built near where they live, and 61% said they would strongly oppose such a proposal. It's a swift, massive shift in U.S. public opinion on a scale that I wouldn't have once thought possible. And then, of course, they've got a whole thing in it, and it's a bipartisan thing. But believing in conspiracy theories has become a bipartisan thing, so I guess that kind of makes sense. But it is amazing the work on the propaganda that has come out of China that has it's worked, and the degree to which it has worked. And the funny thing is, the people who tend to spread this stuff and espouse this stuff are people who tell you, you need to do your research, you need to wake up, you need to realize the truth. Meanwhile, they are spreading lies, and their research literally consists of going to the same echo chamber of lies and pulling the same lies out of that echo chamber. It is frustrating to watch. Staggering 60-point swing on the issue in just 6 months more than justifies Myers' astonishment. It also warrants broader bewilderment over why data centers are as politically radioactive as they've become. Vast quantities of ink have been expended on the effort to address Americans' concern about them, some of which are wholly unfounded. None of it seems to matter. Data centers critics say they consume untold quantities of water and get undue strain put on the environment. But the minimally curious should have encountered one of the dozens of fact checks showing data centers consume about as much water as a golf course or a farm, which, by the way, a lot of times people will then counter with, yes, and we've got too many golf courses too. But the point is, golf courses aren't destroying communities, which is what we're being told of data centers. They're draining an entire community's water, but they're literally a golf course worth of water. I guess somebody's back around on a lap. Let's see. We'll go back to this. Many of which are located in drought-prone or water-stressed areas, but do not elicit such passionate opposition, talking about the golf courses and the farms. Nor do data centers abrogate the law of conservation of matter or somehow arrest the water cycle. Those molecules will reconvene in the atmosphere just as they always have. Nevertheless, the objection persists. We've heard that data centers have a deleterious impact on local quality of life. They're noisy, they're eyesores. They vibrate at a low frequency that can bring up cortisol levels, as one concerned citizen told CNN. They provided the communities that host them with almost no worthwhile benefits. The curious might review reporting on how these facilities comply with municipal ordinances on decibel limits that data centers and their proprietors must follow. Their loudest components, cooling systems, and backup generators are engineered to meet those noise limits or run only during outages and during test periods. Ask West Virginians, who may soon pay nothing in state income taxes as a result of their data center build-out. if these outfits offer no benefit to their local communities. As for their unpleasing aesthetics, that's a matter of taste, but a total moratorium on their construction doesn't seem like the most reasonable remedy. Perhaps the most potent allegation against data centers is they're primarily responsible for America's ballooning utility bills. It's certainly true that America's demand for energy increasingly outstrips its available supplies, but in most jurisdictions, data centers are required to pay the costs they create, including interconnection, grid upgrades, and large load tariffs, one energy analyst observed. Regulators used cost causation principles to prevent residential customers from subsidizing industrial load. In addition, modern data centers can coordinate controls so data centers behave more like predictable grid assets and less like unbounded loads. It's easier for policymakers to blame data centers for America's strained power grid than the policies that have complicated the development of more on-demand power generation facilities. Again, small nukes. People don't want small nukes, but yet we've got small nukes across our Navy, and they're great, and there have been zero incidents. How long? I was in a class the other day. We were talking about this in orientation. How many decades have they had small nukes in naval vessels? Never once had an incident. Never once. It can be done, kids. As the public's objections to data centers increase in inverse proportion to the proliferation of attempts to bust the pernicious myths around them, some have taken to offering metaphysical explanations for voters' anxieties. Maybe data centers are symbolic, some posit. Perhaps these behemoths strike average folks as the lumbering manifestation of their own insignificance before the imperious tech sector. Maybe the public has taken the AI industry's most hubristic boosters at their word, and they fear a future in which they and the skills they've spent a lifetime developing will be rendered redundant. Those are insightful suppositions, but they're only necessary because the postulators are struggling with the irrationality of it all. We've all been trained in the age of populism to avoid accusing those who subscribe to the conventional wisdom of acting out of ignorance or self-interest. I got that. I was back in the solid as a rock guys, the laundromat that they opened, because somebody was like attacking them for using AI in generating their logo. And I was like, it's a tool like anything else. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. Don't go crazy over somebody using AI. It's not the deal you think it is. And then of course the first thing they said is, well, you must have an ownership stake in this. No, I just don't like it when people say stupid, irrational things. That's all. Let's see. We've all been objections to data centers must be nobler, a genuine response to a legitimate grievance that American elites cannot or will not acknowledge. It cannot be simple NIMBYism, the product of a thoughtless herd mentality, or heaven forbid, an outgrowth of a successful foreign influence operation. The need to flatter the misinformed has led politicians from both parties to make a hash of their own position. Democratic politicians mouth anti-AI nostrums as they announce a new moratorium on data center construction in their states. But no one seems to look too hard at the fine print, which makes it clear that their edicts are not moratoriums at all, but rather a regulatory regime with which data center construction can and will comply. Republicans are in the same bind. I'm going to stop there because, Donald Trump has sought to neutralize the issue by pushing Republican governors to sign a pledge outlining a set of principles committing data center developers to pay for their fair share of energy and water use, along with electric grid improvements and maintenance. But data centers already pay standard commercial and industrial rates directly to state utilities and generate massive tax revenues in the process. So in other words, while the Trump administration is doing a thing that, will symbolically put people at ease, it's not necessary. But the thing goes on, and I'll leave it at that. I think that says enough, and I've got to get going because I'm running way, way behind. So let's see what we got here really quickly. Get a shot collar. I'm not going to get a shot collar. BR6 more hee-haw phone number extensions. Justification of just one more guitar sounds like me trying to explain how I got a great deal I'm getting on just one more fishing rod. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's yes. There's the sickness. Let Sweetie bark. It adds a homespun feeling we don't mind. I'm glad you clarified what an RE20 is. I thought you were doing something like Marvin Martian and his P38 modulator. No, this is an RE20. This is a beautiful, beautiful RE20. It's the great mic, the great voice mic in the world. The golden EIB microphone was an RE20. In fact, Rush, was great at doing theater of the mind. So the golden EIB microphone was just that. It was a theater of the mind thing. But it was an RE20 that he used. And eventually, Electro Voice, who make the RE20, made him a golden Electro Voice RE20. Glenn Beck got it after Rush passed, and I think he gave it to Erica Kirk. The Rush's golden EIB microphone, I think, is in Erica Kirk's hands, which has got to drive Candace Owens crazy. Let's see. Yes, China's spreading anti-data center in America. Yeah, absolutely they are. Absolutely they are. Waiting for the feds to jump in on this. Well, you never know. It's because TikTok and China is trying to win the... Yeah, absolutely. TikTok and China is very much helping win the AI race. No doubt about it. Data centers bring up... That's what somebody told CNN. What I'm telling you. Jerry wants a number. Jerry deserves a number. Jerry's been there long enough. Jerry, you get 202. That's the second one we've given out today. There we go. Jerry, you're number 202. We're 836. I got to get going, man. So if property taxes are paid, free GLP-1 shots, what would people want them to? I don't know. So you think if a data center came to town and offered people free GLP-1 shots, you think that would maybe so? In 100 words or less, what is your take on data centers? Here is my take in way fewer than 100 words. You ready? Beneficial and necessary. There you go. I needed 3 words: beneficial and necessary. That is my take on data centers. Very, very, very annoyed at the what is clearly a Chinese influencing operation. Because the thing is, when you start, when you do your research, what winds up happening is the stuff that gets said. And the sad thing is that the bad stories get spread throughout the media, and then you find out they weren't true. Gosh, go figure. Yes, we say welcome to Tate. Glad you're here. Silly Scott, you assume Candace knows who Rush is. Sorry, yeah, she'll go Rush Limbaugh. That's true. She would probably do that. The woman who didn't know thunder came from lightning. Yeah, she made a big deal about that a couple of months ago. You want proof that Candace Owens is an idiot? Take a look at the clip of her explaining how she did not know. And she thinks, and that's the thing too, she didn't, like you and I know, lightning, when it breaks the sound barrier, that's thunder. That's what that is. And she didn't know that. And when somebody explained it to her, she was like aghast. And then she kind of had the contention that nobody really knows that. And that's one of the weirdest things I've ever heard anybody contend. I mean, it's a combination of being stupid and living in a stupid bubble that would get you to that point. Jerry gets a 202. He's loving it. Good. I'll tell you, I've got so much more stuff to get into today, and we just don't have time. I get frustrated. Let's flash a few things up here on the screen, see if there's some things I can make comment on that are worth making comment on. That's interesting. Just read the headlines. All you need to know on that one right now. I hate to do that because I'm not a fan. It's a Peter Daszak story. Remember, Peter Daszak was the guy who pled guilty to trying to obstruct the FOIA requests. Scientists behind Wuhan bat research thanked Fauci aide for helping shut down the lab leak theory. And that Fauci aide is the now guilty Peter Daszak. So I had that for you. Let's see. Which one is this? Oh, the Mamdani grocery stores are great. Okay, so Mamdani in New York wants to open city-run grocery stores. The city is going to run the grocery stores, and the residents will get it and they're undercutting the other supermarkets. And of course, every one of us with any sanity goes, if you undercut the supermarkets, you won't have the supermarkets anymore. What are you going to do then? So now the government, which is not only going to prop up and underwrite their own grocery stores which will have to operate at a loss, now they're proposing to give a subsidy to the grocery stores that they're undercutting to keep them in business. Pause pause. That's a real thing. And that's why this article made me laugh. Leftist zealots just can't admit when their schemes don't work, and they just shift. And that's one of the things that it talks about in that article as well, is this ridiculousness that we're going to have these government-run grocery stores and they're going to do everything cheaper than everybody else. And it's like, well, but they're going to be in competition with commercial grocery stores. They're going to put them out of business. No, we won't put them out of business. Why not? Because we're going to subsidize them. Why? I always mess this up. What is it Reagan said? If it moves, tax it. If it moves, tax it. If it slows down, hang on. You know what? I'm gonna pull it up exactly because I mess it up every time. Yeah, okay. If it moves, tax it. If it keeps moving, regulate it. And if it stops moving, subsidize it. That's what you get out of these guys. All right, let's see. Oh, yes, yeah. We have not time to get into the mom killing her kids, so I'm not going to use that one just yet. But yeah, I'm convinced she and Tucker are drinking the same water. Yeah, and it's pretty foul water. Could your favorite Gator fan and firefighter that's always messaged instead of calling get a number? Yes, Joey, you can get a number. You got 203. Let's see. Is it 2 N's and 2 T's? There you go. You are done. You're in. Oh, look at you guys at the Gators. I mean, isn't a government-run store basically a food bank paid for by taxpayers that launders money? Absolutely. Now that you're a Glenn County employee, see if you can do something about winding 303 from exit 29 to 341. Yeah, that's DOT. That's not even county stuff. That's all state stuff there. 303 is a state road. Winding, you're saying widening. Oh, don't. Before I was a county employee, that was a cause of mine. And the funny thing is, like, and I've talked to the commissioners about widening 303 many times, and they'll always say, well, yes, we've talked to the state about that. And the state says there's not enough traffic on 303 to justify it. The problem is not the lack of traffic. The problem is not the amount of traffic that's on 303. That's the issue. The issue is the lack of places to legally pass. Because it's about a 7-mile stretch of road, I think, 303 there, from between 1782 and 341. I think it's about 7 miles, and all of it, you got a little tiny bit of place here and there where you can actually pass. And most of the time somebody's coming the other way when those little tiny opportunities to pass are there. But there are very few opportunities to pass anybody on 303. And so that's the real issue, is that you just wind up having, and it's not uncommon on a Saturday morning for me to drive down 303 and be part of a 12 vehicle convoy, because there's one guy going slow butt Don Milosevic right there in 303, and everybody's stuck behind him because we're in no passing areas. Then when you get to a passing area, there's 3 guys coming the other way. Again, it's not a huge amount of traffic, but it's enough that it messes up the ability to actually go on that road reasonably. So yeah, if I could snap my fingers tomorrow and have one major road project done in this town, that would probably be the one. But the state won't do it because, again, their sentiment is the car count on the road is not correct. But I it's not about the car count. It's about the ability to pass. You can't pass on 303 except in a couple of little tiny windows, and you just have to pray there's not anybody coming at that time. But there's always going to be somebody coming. That's the problem too. You almost never can pass on 303, and you need to, because people, for whatever reason, it's 55 on 303, and that means you can really go 65, and you find people going 35 all the time. Again, don't understand it. You know, you half expect the guy at the front of the line be the guy driving the Pinto holding his mattress on the top of his car with his hand, you know, but just awful. Yeah. 2N2T. Good. That's what I put. Good. But yeah, widening 303. Absolutely. All right, guys, I am way late. I'm beyond what I wanted to be. Again, I try to get in there around 9 so that I work my day. But today I'm probably not going to be there at 9 because I still got a couple of things. So let's see. data centers are. You will not stop them. Seek controls and no cost to other people. Yeah, exactly. And at the end, these guys things will work themselves out. But honestly, they're for the betterment of our culture, country, and society. So, and they just have to be good. All right, I got to get out of here. I'm way late. You guys made me late. I'm going to blame you. No, I'll get there on time. It's just I wanted to get there early, so I can't do that. But have a great weekend. You never know. Something may happen. I may fire it up and do something over the weekend. But for the most part, I think I'm going to try to lay low just a little bit because we've got a lot of things to do around the house. Been a very, very, very busy week. And I will be on 107.7 The Fox with Brunswick High tonight. G-Man and I will do the game tonight. And I will see how the rest of the season goes after that. So anyway, have a great time. Have a great weekend. Have a great day. Stay hydrated. Don't go out there unless you need to. I'll see you Monday.